Of course, our hot weather is not unique. Extreme weather affects everyone, but it disproportionately affects and impacts specific populations in San Antonio: low-income communities, communities of color, the urban core, people dependent on public transportation, and people living in older homes. These populations all bear the brunt of extreme heat. But our city is committed to climate action and adaptation through addressing the urban heat island, promoting renewable energy, and encouraging low-emission transportation options. Additionally, we are educating our residents on how to make small efforts collectively, which can make a big difference. The era of climate change is here and is adding new pressure to government entities at all levels. In 2019, the United States Department of Defense released a study concluding that 2/3 of its most important facilities were vulnerable to the consequences of climate change. So clearly, climate change is also an issue of global security. These consequences include extreme weather events such as drought, wildfires, and floods. In addition to the hotter summers, in 2021, San Antonio and the state of Texas endured Winter Storm Uri. You heard Donovan refer to it. It brought ice and temperatures so cold that it led to rolling power outages, leaving more than 3.5 million Texans without heat and sub-freezing temperatures. Many people died. The incident led to statewide efforts to make our electric grid more resilient and more sustainable, and these efforts are ongoing. For cities, sustainability is an issue that we must consider in a wide array of services and policy decisions. It's led to changes in the way we plan and build our communities. It's forced bridges and overpasses in some areas to be built to withstand increasingly severe and more frequent 100-year storms, costing billions of additional dollars across the country. You heard about SAWS in depth, our water utility. San Antonio is fortunate also to own its own electric utility. Through the municipally owned CPS Energy, we have made some of our biggest moves in sustainability. As public owners, we can lead our utility by public priorities, like clean energy generation and other sustainable practices, not as the private sector would, by profit. For instance, in January of 2023, the CPS Energy Board, which includes the mayor, voted to phase out the use of coal for energy generation. We will leave coal behind by 2028. That's more than 35 years sooner than expected. And in the process, we will eliminate tons of carbon emissions even as we add generation capacity to CPS Energy portfolio. The plan will add more than 4,900 megawatts of energy, including new wind and solar capacity as well as additional battery storage. Meanwhile, San Antonio's solar capacity is ranked #1 in the state of Texas and #5 in the nation, and we are determined to move up those rankings. In 2022, CPS Energy added an additional 480 megawatts of solar generation capacity, and last year, CPS Energy entered into a long-term power purchase agreement for 150 megawatts of solar. And next month, we expect to announce the addition of another 350 megawatts of battery storage. And in addition to our dramatic steps towards a cleaner power generation portfolio, the utility has weatherized 30,000 older homes under what we call the Casa Verde program, which was launched a decade ago to help lower-income households reduce their power consumption and save money on their energy bills. Our utility launched the Sustainable Tomorrow Energy Plan, it's called STEP, which reduced demand by 1,000 megawatts in its first 10 years, will also include weatherization efforts and other demand reduction strategies in its next phase. The original intent of this program was to avoid the creation of a new power plant over the last decade. And with the energy savings produced by these programs, we've already reached that goal. Now, let's talk about water. San Antonio is in a region that has long been prone to drought. We share a lot of similarities and challenges with Windhoek and the entire country of Namibia. Our water supply encountered sustainability challenges long before our energy utility. Drought, the need to protect endangered species, and regional water demand forced policymakers to confront this issue beginning in the late 1980s. Donovan Burton of the San Antonio Water System spoke about San Antonio's water conservation and supply initiatives. I'm very proud of those efforts. And I'm here to tell you the San Antonio Water System, SAWS, another publicly owned utility, led the way to the city's impressive conservation and supply progress. Reduced consumption has been crucial as our city grows at a tremendous pace, vastly decreasing the amount of water that would have been needed if we maintained those habits. But we do know that conservation alone can't address our city's growing water needs. While it is the least expensive tool to address water demand, we have also had to acquire additional water sources. As you heard, we will continue to plan with technology, with innovation, and with regional partnership. Now, for the city, our municipality, in October of 2019, City Council approved the SA Climate Ready Plan, which laid out a path for climate action and adaptation. It is one of the reasons why I ran for mayor, and so I want to thank my colleague, Councilman John Courage, who was sworn in at the same time as me and cast one of those votes to approve the SA Climate Ready Plan. I asked the council to approve that resolution on our very first day in office in 2017, and 2 years later, we ratified the implementation plan. The city is striving to set an example as well as enhancing sustainability efforts with its own assets. In November of 2023, City Council approved a $30 million program to install rooftop solar generation systems that will produce energy and reduce the city's consumption from the electric grid by an estimated 11%. We installed solar panels on things like parking garages and other city facilities, and it is the second largest installment of solar by a municipality in the entire United States. The City of San Antonio is now working to reduce energy consumption in its buildings, using new materials to mitigate the urban heat island, and reusing materials in construction to reduce demand on resources. 3 years ago, we began experimenting with an asphalt treatment known as cool pavement that reflects more sunlight and absorbs less heat than the usual blacktop that you usually see on roadways. The tests have expanded from a single location to areas across the city, and it has shown to work. We've also launched an EV charging station incentive program for multi-family housing communities, and City Council last year voted to require that all new homes built in the city of San Antonio have EV charging ready in their garages and have solar readiness wired on their rooftops. I'm happy to say that we were the first city in the state of Texas to do so and only the second city in the country. Additionally, the city is contracted to build 200 level 2 charging stations all across our community.
The topic that you just presented to us, the sustainability agenda for our cities, what San Antonio is doing to address current and future challenges, and more specifically the Climate Change Adaptation Action Plan that you have adopted, and your insight into the sustainable practices of San Antonio have provided us with valuable perspective that we can adapt and probably learn and benchmark from as a city or sister cities. And as you've said yourself, you stood to run for mayor so you can build a city where Jonah is going to be proud, and it's all about the legacy. And we believe for every politician that should be the ethos that drives their campaign, to build a city or to build a resilient area or urban center of residence where everybody can be proud of or the future can be accommodated into. Of course, you've shared with us the aspects of how the population of City Antonio, the demographics have changed. And we believe those are not only issues that are unique to San Antonio, we're realizing that we have even more common issues that we can share together. Because as of 2020, under the NUST research that has assisted the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development to develop the housing policy, it was just revealed that as of 2020, the population of Namibia has actually reached 50% threshold within urban centers. So there are more urban centers that are springing up in Namibia than it was in 1990 when we attained independence. So that already speaks to what you've shared with us with the statistics of San Antonio. And there are so many that we can be able to benchmark with and learn from. Your teachings on the local and global causes and necessities of sharing and caring of water resources has underscored the critical importance of water conservation and definitely collaborative effort needed to manage this vital resource effectively and guard it jealously. I would also like to acknowledge the importance of the smart partnerships that we enjoy. The collaboration between the City of Windhoek and the Nirenberg University of Science and Technology has been immensely beneficial. It is through such partnership that we can continue to innovate, share, and address challenges facing our communities. Similarly,